Luna has been chosen to represent her country, Poland, at Eurovision 2024. She was chosen through an international process where 212 songs were submitted to the broadcaster. 5 jury members were then asked to hand in a top 10, which resulted in a combined ranking. Luna got points from 4 out of 5 jury members, scoring 34 points, which was one more point than second place Justina
Steczkowska.
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 I tried, okay? The Polish names are difficult, and Luna will be singing her song The Tower in the first semi-final. Now, Gabe, have you listened to the song and what were your thoughts about it?
So I have, and I quite like it. Apologies to those in chat who maybe like it more than me. It's an enjoyable song. It's a really nice vibe. It's very modern sounding, very refreshing. I kind of feel like it's not very Eurovision.
Okay.
And that doesn't have to be a problem because, I mean, we've talked at length before about how you should focus on just making a good song and the Eurovision bit works itself out. I would love some higher heights, some bigger climaxes in this song than what we have at the moment. I think you can probably build them in without undermining the spirit of the song as a whole. But personally, between this song and Justina's, I think I would have liked Justina's just a fraction more. So I'm happy, but I'm a little cautious on its chances. How about you?
Yeah, I preferred this song over Justina's actually. So it's a little interesting. It's a bit of a more normal indie pop song, I feel, and she's a very young artist. And what I'm most worried about maybe is if she can deliver this song well live and whether she can handle the entire Eurovision experience, because it's not nothing. And she's incredibly young and incredibly talented, but it's not easy to do something like it. The song itself, I get what you're saying about it not necessarily having that Eurovision kind of sound, which is not always a bad thing. But the danger with a song like this is that when you have like other songs competing next to it, it could get swallowed a little bit because they stand out a bit more. This is a good song to stream. It's a nice song to keep on repeat. It is catchy, but maybe it needs that little bit of a catchiness factor to really stuck in people's minds. And of course, we need to see the live performance as well. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't think it's a bad song. I enjoy it quite a bit. Maybe my first reaction wasn't the best, but I usually just need a bit more time with pop music, to be honest. But overall, I think it's pretty decent for Poland.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I think, obviously, as someone in chat pointed out already, she's going to keep working on it. I think, and there's another artist I think we're going to discuss later in this stream for which this is very true. When you're a young artist as well, or you're maybe not the most experienced in terms of live performance, what that does mean is much like if you're a young athlete, you're going to run a personal best basically every time you go out there. It's the same thing when you're performing. You'll get better and better and better. Like the needle will just keep moving. So I'm excited to see how she develops over the course of the season and also how the performance matures through rehearsals. Poland does have a favorable draw, which means I think she will probably get a second bite of the cherry in the final, even in a tough semi. And that means we could really see a big improvement from the semi to the final as well. I hope she gets that chance because I think it would be really interesting to see what she's able to do with it if she does.
Yeah, it's good that you point out as well that it has a favorable draw. What you mean with it, it's probably that it's among other songs that like are a bit more out there, while this is more maybe tame in a way. So it can definitely stand out among the field. I get what you're saying with that each performance will improve. And especially with pre-parties, I think that could be the case. But I also feel like she is the type of voice that could get tired as well. And we know that Eurovision is a damn difficult thing to nail because you have to do so many interviews. Like artists sometimes just get treated like rag dolls. You have an interview here, an interview there. You need to have a performance there. You need to do a rehearsal, another rehearsal, another rehearsal. Like you see it so often that voice is getting incredibly tired. Like Stefania in 2021 or the Czech song in 2022.
May Muller.
Like they had... May Muller as well. Yeah, like voices get really tired after Eurovision, and it's good that there's like a bit of time between Tuesday when her semifinal is and the grand final. But I don't know. I'm a little cautiously optimistic, but there's a lot of things that I'm still like, I'm not fully behind it yet.
Yeah. I think the other thing with the semi-final that makes it friendlier, it has Ireland. I believe the UK is voting in that semi, and it has Ukraine, which are pretty much, in terms of televoting, the three most prone to vote for Poland. As a result, I think that massively enhances, because if you get 30 points already from those three, you're most of the way there.
Yeah.
We saw a song qualify with 34 televote this year, just gone. So you're most of the way there as well. Someone in chat pointing out has Lithuania, it has Germany. So she doesn't necessarily have to be 100% at her best in the semi. There's room to maybe to peak in the final if she gets there, which I think is very likely.
Yeah, it's they definitely have like a lot of countries that have a lot of diaspora from Poland in there as well. And since it's televote only, like that can be a powerful thing. And regardless whether the song is good or not, sometimes those votes really shine through. And yeah, it's just only something that will help them.
For sure.
We have a question here from Fishy Cat. Would Poland make a good opener? What do you think?
No. I'm going to say in that semi, with that many strong songs in the first half, I really, really don't think it would be a good opener. They're going to want something. It's semi one as well. They're going to want to open the contest with something bombastic. This is not bombastic. It needs to be a tonic between, you've got songs, we'll come on to Rim Tim Tag Him later, songs like that, songs like Doomsday Blue by Bambi Thug. These are loud, punchy songs. You need songs like this to break them up. If you put it at the start, you lose that ability, and it doesn't really get the energy going. It doesn't really get the juices flowing, as it were. So I think it would be one of the worst choices, actually, to open the show. What do you think?
The thing is, at this moment, I'm not sure which other song I would have opened the show. Maybe Lithuania is the one I was thinking about the most, or like Ukraine, something like that. But a song like this does feel like it's more of an in-between song between like the more out there hype songs. Which is maybe a dangerous thing because we have a lot of those songs in there. So you're kind of stuck in a few slots that it can go. And I see a lot of people saying that maybe it could get a death slot. I could see it happen with this song.
I am skeptical, though. I mean, when it comes to death slots, there's 15 songs in the semi-final. I think it's people shouldn't start panicking. Like, I mean, we've talked about the favorable conditions for it. To be honest, and this may be a controversial opinion, if I was any of the songs in that half, I would be fingers crossed thinking, please, 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 first or second. And I'll tell you why. If the producers put you first or second in the semi-final, they're not going to do it for the final. And when you have so many songs which are in it to win in that half, I mean, we'll talk about some of them later, you want to get that out of the way. You're going to qualify anyway. If you genuinely believe your package is strong enough to win the whole thing, you shouldn't be worried about NQing from the semi. And going first or second isn't really going to hurt you at all. So you want to perform first or second, because then you're not, if you draw first half for the final, you're going to be 12th or 13th. You're going to be in a position where plenty of songs have won from. So from a tactical point of view, pretty much no matter who you are, in that half, I would want to be first or second. Maybe I'm
It
mad.
really depends on the song, though, because the death slot has been a very much self-fulfilling prophecy, where they usually just put the weaker song in second place. And so it's kind of every single year you see the running order and you're like, okay, so the song they put in second, they think is one of the weakest. And it's just the statistics now back it up as well. It used to be running order slot 3, actually, but now it actually is number 2. And if the song is good enough, like if they'd put Ukraine or Croatia there or something, it would qualify, definitely. The thing is, EBU never does it. They always put a song there that's either borderline or just not good enough to qualify in the first place. So I don't know how much I would want a dev slot, because then it's more or less the EBU saying, "Ooh, maybe we don't want you as much in the Eurovision Grand Final." But yeah,
But
it's a bit of a like your opinion makes a lot of sense as well.
I just think that realistically, when you have Connor's in chat, hi Connor. When you have Rimton Tagidim, you have Luktalk, you have Teresa and Maria, all in this semi. These are the three songs that I don't want to spoil too much about our Croatia section. Where these are the songs that are in the conversation right now. I think you sort of, it doesn't really matter what the producers think of you. I feel like I would just, if I was, especially, people are talking about Luktelk potentially. If Luktelk got drawn number one, I think I said this last week, if I was the Lithuanian delegation, I'd be celebrating. You've just secured yourself an amazing slot for the final. They're not going to screw you twice. And it's blatantly obvious to everyone watching that Luktelk is going to qualify easily. I think with Poland as well, if they ended up performing second, that could be favorable for them. It is quite different in pacing to Luktelk. It's gonna qualify anyway because it has so much favorable conditioning with the televote. I just think that there's songs in this half that have room to be thinking tactically about this. Obviously, ultimately, they don't get to make the decision. The songs will go where they go. But if you lock yourself in for a good place in the final early on, that's a big advantage, especially in a year like this where it's looking so open.
Yeah, the counter argument is that we've said in the past as well that Poland has a lot of those diaspora votes, but the past couple of years, it's not been that much showing through for Poland. Like, there have been some non-qualifications. Like last year, they went through, of course, but before that, they were struggling for a little bit as well. I mean, the year before that, not really, because it was Ochman, but with the ride, for example, that didn't go through to the final either. So maybe the vote isn't as powerful as you think. And would then putting this song in second be such a great thing for Poland? I'm not sure. Like, I get your argument for maybe the more big favorites like Lithuania or Croatia or Ukraine. But with Poland, it's a bit more of a borderline thing for me at this moment.
Well, I think, Antoine in chat has just pointed out, Poland has been a televote non-qualifier once since 2014. And immediate and this, to be honest, like in my opinion, it's not their strongest song. So they could use the positional help in the final. I just think it feels like Poland probably isn't all that worried when the song is good, as we've seen. When the song is strong, they've been activated, if you like. The diaspora has risen to it. And while this isn't going to win the contest, I think it's easily strong enough for the Polish diaspora to go, yeah, this is a nice song, we'll vote for it. That said, I think we should be careful because this has enough strength and plenty of merit to qualify without that, and I think it could still do that. I just think that's obviously going to be a bonus for it, and it has a lot of friends in the semi-final that will see it through.
Yeah, it's a solid song, but I still need to see it. It's also a little bit of a song that could also fade into the background if the live performance doesn't fully fill the song as much as the studio version does, and that is my biggest fear at the moment. So right now, if you held me at gunpoint, I would not be sure to say that it would qualify or not. Like, that would be a difficult question for me at this time. But you think that it will qualify, I assume, then?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, full disclosure, I also thought Georgia was going to come third in its semi last year, and it then didn't qualify. So I don't have necessarily the best form on this one, but yeah, no, I think it's qualifying. I think it's going to be fine.
Okay. By the way, if you have a question for us, please use @ESCUnited so we know it is directed to us and you're not just chatting to a lot of the other Eurofans that are in this chat, which is always lovely to do as well. But when you have a question for us, please use @ESCUnited so we can see it better. So Shauria Kana, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. People are comparing it to Slovenia. In your mind, which one is stronger? Now, Gabe, do you think it should be compared to Slovenia, and which one of the two would you prefer?
These songs are not similar.
I'm
a bit surprised by the comparison, actually, because I don't think I've actually seen that. if I was saying my personal preference between the two, I would say Slovenia, but I don't really think it's a fair comparison. You can't really judge these two songs face to face on what are they doing X as well as each other, because different voices, very different musical backgrounds, very different styles, different languages, different that doesn't seem to be much to go off on a sort of blow by blow comparison here. I do think Slovenia's prospects are better, but I imagine we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can open or talk
when
about it in
see if it
the
comes
open
up in the
Q&A
Q&A.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get this comparison either. I think Raven is more of a different structured song as well, and it's just a bit more of a theatrical piece, where this is more of a pop radio song, moreover. So I don't really see the comparison that much either. I would prefer Slovenia, but that's personal preference.